Myoho Renge Kyo Nam Myoho Renge Kyo Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. Oh. Hello again. So the last Go show we went through together was a bit somber. It was a letter of encouragement to a disciple, student, follower, whatever you prefer on that. Camera's doing and saying funny things. I'm not sure why. Okay. This following one is in the same year, so evidently after he was taken away and put in exile, there was a goal of persecution to take care of his unruly teachings. So this next Gosho is called The Persecution at Tatsunokuchi. I cannot adequately express my gratitude for your frequent letters. At the time of my persecution on the 12th, not only did you accompany me to Tatsunokuchi, but you also declared that you would die by my side. This can only be called wondrous. Talking about determination, right? Commitment. How many are the places where I have thrown away my life in past existences for the sake of my wife and children, lands and followers? I have given up my life on the mountains and the seas, on the rivers, on the seashore, and on the roadside. Never once, however, did I die for the Lotus Sutra or suffer persecutions for the Daimoku. Myoho Renge Kyo. Hence, none of the ends I met enabled me to attain Buddhahood. Because I did not attain Buddhahood, the seas and rivers where I threw away my life are not Buddha lands. In this life, however, as the votary of the Lotus Sutra, I was exiled and put to death, exiled to Ito and beheaded at Tatsunokuchi. Tatsunokuchi in Sagami province is the place where Nichiren gave his life. Because he died there for the Lotus Sutra, how could it be anything less than the Buddha land? The sutra reads, quote, "In the Buddha lands of the 10 directions there is only the law of the one vehicle." Does this not bear out my assertion? The law of the one vehicle is the Lotus Sutra. No true teaching other than the Lotus Sutra exists in any of the Buddha lands of the 10 directions. The sutra continues, quote, "There are not 2, there are not 3, except when the Buddha preaches so as an expedient means." End quote. This being so, then even every place where Nichiren meets persecution is the Buddha land. These words come directly from the Lotus Sutra and the Immeasurable Meaning Sutra. Of all the places in the Saha world, it is at Tatsunokuchi in Katase of Sagami province in Japan that Nichiren's life dwells. Because he gave his life there for the sake of the Lotus Sutra, Tatsunokuchi deserves to be called the land of tranquil light. This is what the Supernatural Powers chapter means when it states, quote, "Whether in a garden, a forest, or in mountain valleys, or in the wide wilderness, in such places have the Buddhas entered nirvana." You accompany Nichiren, vowing to give your life as a votary of the Lotus Sutra. Your deed is 100, 1,000, 10,000 times greater than that of Hong Yin, who cut open his stomach and inserted the liver of his dead lord, Duke Yi, or Duke Yi, to save him from shame and dishonor. When I reach Eagle Peak, I will first tell how Shijo Kingo, like myself, resolved to die for the Lotus Sutra. And here we see Shijo Kingo as a major disciple of Nichiren. I have heard unofficially that by the order of the Lord Kamakura, I am to be exiled to Sado province. Among the 3 heavenly sons of light, the god of the moon saved my life at Tatsunokuchi by appearing as a shining object, as the god of the stars descended 4 or 5 days ago to greet me. Now only a god of the sun remains, and he is certain to protect me. How reassuring! How encouraging! The teacher of the law chapter states, quote, I will dispatch persons magically conjured who will act to guard and protect them, end quote. This passage leaves no room for doubt. The peaceful practices chapter reads, swords and staves will not touch him. The universal gateway chapter states, the executioner's sword will be broken to bits. There is nothing false in these sutras passages. The strong and steadfast power of resolute mind and determination is precious indeed. So, what's this about? Did Nichiren actually die? Certainly sounds like that's what he's saying. Is this now a sacred ground? This Buddha land? Once again, I remind you of the storytelling methodology of teaching in Buddhism. These are again reassurances and validation for Nichiren. What he's saying, first of all, is appreciating deeply Shijo Kingo's commitment to Nichiren as his teacher and guide bodhisattva in Buddhist practice. So that's incredibly admirable, and what you might expect from a samurai society, where Shijo Kingo is a head samurai. He runs the household for his lord, his landowner, right? So he commands troops. They all have sworn their lives, just as he has, every morning that they might die that day. So they live a very, very much on the edge of a blade kind of existence. So to demonstrate commitment, you would kind of expect that he would lay his life down for the law. And the law in this case is in the form and human presence of their great teacher, Nichiren. So that's what all of that's about. The idea that where he lays down his life for the law, the Lotus Sutra, the Myoho Renge Kyo, is the land of tranquil light, to quote the sutra, or the Buddha land, again is a reference to scholarship. If you read enough of the sutras, it will come to you that the Buddha land is not a location, it's not a place, it's a state of mind. In other words, when you make that shift to the observation mind of Buddha, the Buddha way of seeing your life, all life, the worldview, it is like transporting yourself to a foreign land or a new existence, a completely different self-human location within what has previously been the conditioned life of everything having a charisma, a meaning, an emotional connection, an attachment. If you can actually sever that mental bog, if you will, and simply observe you can't help but feel awe at this. It's like, I don't know if you remember when you were a little kid and you first discovered something. I don't care if it was sand in water and the way that it moved. There's this miraculous, kind of magical discovery. Not magical at all, but to you as a first discovery, just amazing, right? Awe and complete immersion in this new thing. Well, awakening our Buddha mind is like that. We have this sense of just overwhelming awe and amazement at just stuff. It doesn't, you could say that's an emotional reaction, but I'm not talking about emotion. I'm talking about a freedom of observation, untouched and yet observing, right? So in Buddhist teaching to relate this to our human existence, because that's where we are, that's how we're conditioned, it's seen as a golden land of tranquil light, right? What words can you describe to paint a mental picture, right? We have more words and different ways of understanding now with the digital universe and language, the way it's been morphing in this current century, right? So we can use a bunch more words and videos and these kinds of mediums, but we're all trying to do the same thing Nichiren was doing here to people of the 13th century who didn't have cell phones and iPads and so forth, right? So creating mental pictures is a way of shifting thought, changing people's perceptions, right? So Tatsunokuchi, there are some accounts that when Nichiren refers to being saved by the god of the moon, there are several accounts of an eclipse that happened just around that time, a very magical event to people of that day and before, and since really, so that as he was about to be beheaded during the ceremony to raise the executioner's sword to behead him, this event happened. The skies changed, and there was a lunar eclipse. Certainly doesn't happen every day, and the people of that time saw that as an ominous event, and they stopped the persecution or the execution, and they just got rid of him again. They sent him to Ito. So the banishment was real popular, as it was all over the world. Anyway, so that's the reference here at Tatsunokuchi, a very important landmark because of the ominous nature of him surviving that. To some groups and sects, that is marked as a transformative event, solidifying Nichiren's position as a bodhisattva and a votary of the Lotus Sutra. We know his commitment to that predated that, and in Nichiren's own mind and words, that's what precipitated the event to begin with. Is it obvious that he was the votary, and that's why this happened. So you can see how that can be conflated into a benchmark moment to solidify that stature in the scholarship, in the lineage, right? However you want to construct it, it was an ominous event, and Nichiren again uses it as a tool to inspire, to teach, to remind of the scholarship and how there's no surprises here. You just have to keep working toward it. You don't have this to look forward to. It's a validating thing that Nichiren turns it into. Obviously a tumultuous time he was living in. Not sure, in some countries I think we still see that today, right? And there are some madmen running countries all over the world. So one would say, a Buddhist would say, that to be born into those areas is karmic. So what fortune we have to be living in a time and place where our rulers, although somewhat unhinged, aren't at least running around and just beheading all of us. Let's hope that doesn't come to that. Let's prevail. All right. So thanks again for watching, listening, and look forward to the next video. Take care. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo.